Abusia Sam George Neja eguni chemu no yanka kufado NPP amade ko na ban no homo brayo. So say ko on social media and so ani atage Sam George once said no dey asoso I will never let Muhammad have peace there if he fails to sign the LGBTQ plus. Hey Sam George ono come me yanka we ye hypocrite but me borrow FUTUFOUR insend your taika or say ko feel do we hypocrite na we Sam George we hypocrite say and no ko on the Facebook page watch krata ni na ye anti LGBTQ plus bill yen kana ye hwe mu say NPP amadoko no led by the for a year former president Nana Danko Akufo-Addo on na pamfo nkomo mo sabe hyase na nka ye tumu say Ghana has say trumu fawo supi yen jintu yen tiase a wanye ye na ehu Sam George ja odi good chip empo 2024 campaign this year no na edimu akotimi ye abusua eto Ghana problem ati because Sam George ne say silibuka say NPP amanyoko no ansai sa bill na obo de say Ghana for to about the NDC na Mahama be president a obefo so Mahama ama wansan a onye sudwe da esan se Mahama se bi oye panyini e wa Assemblies of God odiri hunni ontoto na sore line nyam so ma se ensem de Sam George kai pa nene ye bu say Sam George say 2 years ni e de na wo twen Mahama sana say time na okasa with boldness no eni hobi matina se edimi sem e ba be so mo Ola kaya enche ye me de be so mo say right after say coach H0t ye sacking no from a Blackstar team no na me ye hu ni biem Blackstar camp biem no na me ka say me say new coaches bidding up ye hwe ni mu say GFA e ba beto dwa na be ko ka say ye mfa former ye coach Edma the Blackstar of Ghana me chema no nyam for kwasi apia eno mo say Ghana for be na ka edidi ba beta enyo no ana green light na so one so yes coach bi a enka no ye former coach Edma Morocco ye friend Walid Regragui rade we say na me born sama wa keka wa hase no enya sem ketwa yes say green light to papa isu no wo de ababonti say wono de say Ghana for akohia GFA president any Ghana for mo technical team akohia say ye pe coach a omuni di film onye say obaba the coach Ghana in this crucial time because Ghana has said they ungrateful obaba coach Ghana ewie no na ode Ghana be kwa na bedu pepe so bia Ghana say ye players no be so mo na no na akwa ibi ho na fe ne ye be horo no ono do pesa nti omuni di film ni na be akotie ho nsem ede aba ha FUTUFOUR TV. Next was our first time you hit notification bell, no subscribe to channel, no share like what comment na bibia so etimakoye de amount. Abusia because enye tintin yentie eye insebia efri eye the Blackstar of Ghana makache ebeba edefa eme omunyu coach omuhwe ni musen kanyame ya adoma sanye H0t yasaki ni new person obeba no womra na omambe take over sane be bibia so betimako Ediama the Blackstar team no. Nene America say ni kwani ye say nipa 800 supporters ana FIFA ehwe ni mu say nyame ya doma June a ye de World Cup be hihye so no. Omo betimanya akonya akwakopiemu e wa America as supporters omo ko support the Blackstar of Ghana. Eti hihye passport ebia green light ni to so wan so wetima akwakopiemu e wa America. Ho yenti enkomo bi bani ba ye bowe mu e wa Sam George nakachi.
I think that has been a period of two phases, I would say. One phase, me watching Ghana play against Germany and putting up a decent performance, and another phase, me having to say bye-bye to a coach I've worked well with for a while. So it's been shall I say that it's been a tough 24 hours, but that's life.
How tough did you have the conversation with H0t about the dismissal face-to-face yourself?
Yes, I did. Obviously, once I employed him, I'm also responsible for everything that is connected to his job. So,
how tough was that meeting?
As human as we are, I mean, and having worked since 2022, we've had a good working relationship. But at the end, as leaders as we are, it's always important for us to look at ourselves in our faces and speak about issues that concern us and how we can progress as individuals and as a collective.
What point did you come to the decision? Because I've had a lot of private conversations with you and conversations on the record like this. And if there's one thing that runs through both streams of conversations, is your unyielding conviction that Otto could easily become Ghana's version of Anya. You see, say, a Regragui and theirs. At what point did you decide that this was not working?
So first of all, I would say without being proud, with all humility, that I'm a leader who is dynamic. I'm a leader who is honest to issues around me. And I'm a team player, which is most important. And I think that when you're leading a team, you may have your strong opinions about issues, but there are moments that you need to listen to the team for the greater good of our country. And at this moment, we thought it's Ghana first, and we have to go in a different direction.
What did you see that convinced you about this?
I don't know whether it's about what did I see or what did I hear, or perhaps both. I've seen Otto work over time since we engaged him. I've heard millions of comments. I've seen him prepare the team for games. I've seen the last 4 or 5 games that we have played. I've seen the group, as in the executive committee, discuss the games that we have played. And I've also heard about our shared vision for the World Cup. And I thought that it was time for us to look at another direction for our.
I'm sorry, any send the name AD edify a year Blackstars of Ghana, the national team we did some somo. Somebody can say and you say no. Over Sam George once said now popular na or can some edify LGBTQ no ebia Sam George the time and na ekufa the was so what pressure on sign antibio no na one sign here or copy submit because say e wo bochimemu say we go to dwa e de oni hu bia yen hwe kakrambra ne ba ene ne krata watwa ne tintintintintintin after say jane bagana for bashono etutu deguni chemu no eno so makwa ko read kakra e de ama yen hwe sem ni bi MRCCA.
So we'll now have 2 brief comments from the floor. The first is Mr. Samuel George. Mr. George is a member of parliament from the country of Ghana. Mr. George.
Thank you very much, and all protocol duly observed. As a natural-born man, a charismatic Christian, a husband of 1 woman, a father of 3 children, and an elected member of Ghana's parliament, I hold the role of the family extremely sacred. I believe that the right to found a family and determine same is a right that accrues to everyone within the context and spirit of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, the UN Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and several other recognized international treaties like the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. 75 years after the UDHR, the spirit and letter are more poignant than at any other time in our history. At a time in our world where supposedly progressive forces are agitating for a redefinition of the core principles of what a family is and represent in a somewhat regressive manner, the genuinely progressive voices, like those in this room, must rise in defense of family, its values and protections. The concept of the natural family is under attack, and a siege is being attempted on the spirit of the Declaration of Human Rights. Let me be clear here and now, sirs and ma'ams. There is a distinct difference between sex and gender or gender identity. The pseudo-war being waged by some against the families premised on this obfuscation and literal obliteration of the distinction between sex and gender. Sex is a biological construct that transcends race, ethnicity, religion, and jurisdictional jurisprudence. Sex is binary. You're either male or female. God determines this at the moment of conception. A fetus carries either the XX or XY chromosome, determining whether it is born female or male. From my beloved Ningo Prampram constituency in Accra, Ghana, to New York, and Rio de Janeiro to Madrid or Delhi to Perth, the interpretation of XY and XX is constant. Gender or gender identity, on the other hand, is a social construct that has evolved on the peculiarities of various societies. From the onset matching the binary nature of sex, we see different recognitions of gender today across the world. There is no universality in the concept of gender or gender identity, and it is highly fluid. And as such, gender or gender identity cannot form the basis for any rights accruing in a covenant, a convention, or international treaty which seeks to be globally acceptable and binding because we have different interpretations. This is the basis for my avowed position that the letter and spirit of the UN Universal Declaration of Human Rights is apt and meets the needs of our global world today. It emphasizes in Article 2 of the rights, the rights and freedoms in the Declaration, and it's clear that there shall be no distinctions made based on sex. Yes, it says sex, not gender or gender identity. This is a definite position and must be defended by all progressive forces. The UDHR in Article 16.1 makes yet another actual position that I cherish and implore all of us to hold fast and dear, that the right to marry and found a family shall be between men and women of full age, without prejudice to their race, nationality, or religion. Yes, it says men and women, not men and men or women and women. Yet again, this is another reinforcement of the principle of sex and not gender. As a proud African, Article 2 of our African Charter on Human and People's Rights also echoes the principles of enjoyment of rights without prejudice to sex and not gender. As Africans, the role of the family is cardinal to our society and its well-being. To reinforce this, Article 18 of the African Charter recognizes the family as society's natural unit and basis. It imposes a responsibility on member states in the African Union to protect the physical health and morals of the family. Yes, it said morals of the family. It declares the family as the custodian of morals and traditional values recognized by the community. The Charter says there is no ambiguity here, that the values of family as a union between a natural-born man and woman must be protected by all of us. Against this backdrop, together with 7 of my colleagues in Ghana's parliament, I'm sponsoring a private member's bill titled The Promotion of Proper Human Sexual Rights and Ghanaian Families Values Bill 2021 in Ghana's parliament. In conclusion, I reference the critical role that a family plays in the development of society through the development, education, and upbringing of children. Article 18.3 and 4 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights declares respect for the liberties of parents and legal guardians to ensure their children's religious and moral education in conformity with the convictions of the parents and legal guardians. This right is not given to an educational board or a pressure group or a government. It is the sole right and preserve of parents in the family unit. Ladies and gentlemen here gathered at the UN headquarters in New York, the family must remain respected and recognized as the union between natural-born men and women of full age, who have the right and responsibility to determine by their beliefs and in conformity with the generality of their community the details of the religious and moral education of their children in a manner that respects communal norms of public safety, public order, public health, public morality, and the fundamental rights and freedoms of the majority of their community. I thank you. Shalom.
President Akufo-Addo, as the representative of Ningo Prampram, the people of Ghana want to hear what your view is on the LGBTQ bill that is before you. Say something and sign it. Mr. President, you are beginning to appear as a supporter of LGBTQ. The people of Ghana and the people of Ningo Prampram do not want it. So President Akufo-Addo, it has been 8 months since Parliament passed the legislation. Sign it or tell the people what your stance is on LGBTQ. We know the stance of President Mahama. We don't know your stance.
No to Trumu. We need John Dramani Mahama to come and sign the bill into law.
President Mahama has been clear that he will sign that bill, and he has no option than to sign that bill. President Mahama will know no peace from Sam George until he signs that bill. And he himself has said that to the clergy, that as a Christian, as a member of the Assemblies of God Church, he will sign that bill.
Me Judy, my faith is against LGBTQ. Me Assemblies of God. If we say the faith I have, Empene say Bema, Bewari Bema, Oba, Bewari Oba.
Few moments later.
Regarding LGBTQ plus issues, it remains a highly emotive and sensitive issue that is not the most important issue we face as a nation. We're still grappling with the provisions of basic needs of education, healthcare, jobs, food, clothing, and shelter.
Where previous videos are Sam George Edma ye man penny dada any NPP abai after say sebio na LGBTQ plus anti-boy ye dia hini parliament house ani ye hu se ku for the sebe chance ye aso the sebe chance aso be so warriors ye ni sem do keka ye eno no ene ye hu ni sa na no ana he dia koya Sam George hu se no jana Ghana for so no anu aye den na no and what be pemu on the Facebook page watch Sam George the Facebook page am person me kan Emma Unsuwu hu bi na hu de ekoso ne de eba because say the Ghana for jana o man so de anu odin say no Ghana ye ati o eba ma nyesemu a enti say nkane no untimi mfa sabio asokwa mbeda ne achenchini ana untimi mfa wadwene ebe ebukata embe ye katasumo mo so bia say tebi ese ni ate ewo eye ma nyesemu ma me kan emfa ma na me sorry so o say DS. In 2017, when many were afraid to speak for the NDC after the massive 2016 election defeat, a few of us stood up and filled the gap. I was on TV and radio, sometimes 3 days a day. I was on the floor of Parliament as part of Party 106 against the NPP's 169. I made sure my voice was heard. Today, I see the slicing and reposting of old videos to set an agenda. I smile and say, I have paid my dues. You may think you are cooking, but with each video you post, you show the strippers on my shoulder as I fought to bring my party, the NDC, to power. I stood for something I believe in, the return of John Dramani Mahama, JM. When former ministers refused to speak and defend, I did, and I have absolutely no regrets. So dig deeper, you will find 10,000s of videos of me toiling either on the screens or in Parliament. Today, JM is back in power with an even bigger victory than we lost in 2016. We have almost 190 MPs in Parliament. I paid my due and I hold my head high. Now ask yourself, what have you stood for or achieved? If you think my hustle is simple, like we say on the street, do make me see. The fact that I have chosen peace does not mean that I am asleep. You think you are agenda. You think you are agenda. You are simply writing my political memos. And I am reading with delight at the testimony of the work we did and achieved. This one is a hashtag tough seed. Go and ask your descendants and be told nothing you say about me today is new and has not been told to me before. And oh, let me add emojis. Sam George, and an info you Eda who say, I was there for Sam George. Some guys were down one night or hemu. They need to tell or hemu. And your friend has said you moko find the previous videos are why you to conquer on Sam George because he come one or more. You know, one now so echo could after say or more defeat in 2016 was huge and said you a was the demand the National Democratic Congress sama yokono anyway and then eba be report Sam George said we did be away nyane na yi bia owo because we kwa enketwa demand because ye ka enkrofo mu gina ye could the NDC back to power in 2024 with this huge margin ono Sam George oka ho e bia ye bo nipa 5 want to so mi no beto so mi nsa entenye de mo ye na bebu na bam on de waka bet still na no oye Sam George wari ase abusia mo ye nkan Sam George a hypocrite aha ana bi se nyina AC FUTUFOUR TV so any message for first time ya you just hit on the notification bell, you subscribe to the channel, you share, you like, you comment. Ajua enemy di nyame ambada se ni yeshia. Bye bye.